Ah, the beach. There's nothing quite like it. Whether you're building sandcastles, finishing up your favorite book, or working on your tan, our beaches may soon become a thing of the past if we don't start finding other alternatives to sand. Every year, our planet uses approximately 39 trillion kilograms of sand for the production of concrete, roads, glass, and electronics. We wouldn't have smartphones, windows, or even toothpaste without it. So, what would happen if it all just disappeared? How would no sand impact our environment? What other alternatives could we use? And how would our lives change? This is What If, and here's what would happen if there was no more sand. Sand is one of the most widely used natural resources, and we're running out of it fast. Currently, the global demand for sand is higher than Earth can keep up with. Even though we have vast deserts like the Sahara with miles of the stuff, the rounded grains make the sand unusable for concrete or glass production. This is partly due to wind and weather erosion over many years. The most viable sand has angular grains that fit together like a puzzle. This type is found in our oceans, lakes, riverbeds, and beaches. The production of concrete uses 10% cement, 15% water, and 75% sand. Between the years 2011 and 2013, China used more concrete than the United States did during the entire 20th century. With prices for sand rising due to its scarcity, sand extraction has become a $70 billion industry. It's even attracted a criminal sand mafia who sells stolen sand on the black market. Production of sand has contributed to 8% of the total carbon emissions on our planet. This may seem small, but there are many more environmental dangers associated with it. 90% of our beaches around the world have shrunk an average of 40 meters since 2008. Not good, since eliminating sand in certain areas makes islands more susceptible to erosion and total collapse. At least 10 islands around Indonesia have disappeared due to sand mining. Likewise, removing sand from our rivers alters the flow of water, potentially diverting it away from villages and forcing people and wildlife to find another source. So, is there a replacement for sand that we can use? As a matter of fact, there are several alternatives to sand and concrete that are in development. Sand-like materials can be made by crushing rocks, glass, byproducts from steel production, and ash from burning coal. Other natural resources like rice husk ashes, mining waste, volcanic ash, and clay can also be used. One of the biggest environmental hazards related to sand is the production of concrete, primarily used for construction. The binding glue needed for this is the worst pollutant, known as Portland cement. Luckily, many alternatives to reduce the cement are in development, like grasscrete, which spreads out less concrete in an open pattern, so grass and other vegetation can grow. Straw bales can be used as insulation and walls within buildings, replacing concrete, wood, stone, and fiberglass. Hempcrete, or concrete made from hemp, is a much more lightweight and easily transportable alternative. Mycelium from mushrooms and fungi can be hardened into strong bricks, and companies are also working on recycling our plastics and trash to form new building materials. But sadly, we're currently on track to exploit all of the usable sand on Earth, which could have devastating effects on our environment. Water levels in wetland habitats will drop, destroying ecosystems used by migratory birds, among other concerns. If somehow every last grain of sand disappeared, it would be an even bigger problem. Coastlines would completely disappear from flooding, displacing millions of people. The entire Sahara might turn green again or simply flood over. We would have less protection from intense storms and tsunamis and need to build better infrastructure to cope. Sand dunes also provide natural habitat for a variety of animals and plants. And at the bottom of our oceans, any microorganisms that live in sand would die, causing a deadly domino effect in our food chain. Small fish feed on these organisms. Bigger fish feed on them, and we rely on fish for our meals. The cost of housing would also go up dramatically with the lack of sand. In fact, the price of sand has already quintupled in the past 30 to 40 years. Because despite having a lot of sand in places like Dubai, they still need to have marine-grade sand shipped in for construction needs. Perhaps the only good thing to come of this scenario would be the end of the sand mafia. But who knows what dirty business they'll get up to next. Sand forms during the breakdown of rocks that have eroded over thousands, if not millions of years. These rocks come from our rivers and streams, which, over time, make their way to our oceans. Even with so many varieties of sand in different colors and grades, there still isn't enough on our planet to keep up with a growing population. And if we keep going after the cheapest and easiest resources like sand, coal, and oil, we will eventually run out. So it would be very wise to find other alternatives for all our limited natural resources. But that's a story for another What If.